A very good evening, everyone. So, in the previous class, we were discussing about different types of cements, right? So, can anybody please answer to this? Different types of cement, what we have discussed in the previous class. Yes, just you can speak up, just unmute it and then you can speak. We need better interaction session other than explaining whole entire PPT. Yes, I want to call your name randomly. What you know, at least tell one type of cement. Rajesh, Rajesh Murgod, please. At least try to speak up with us. Rajesh, are you there? Saurabh Mane, at least you can speak in general. No? We have seen so many types of cements. Yes, and anybody other than taking their names? Sanchez Joshi, you can unmute it. Yes, Ujwala, please. You can unmute it, ma'am.
So,
Ah,
Portland cement,
very good.
rapid hardening,
Very good. Rapid hardening cement.
sir, ordinary
Ordinary Portland cement. Yes.
cement, and sir, quick setting cement.
Very good. Quick setting cement. Right. And then we have discussed only four. Other than this, very good, Ujwala. Then, other than this, Prajwal, which are the different types of cements? Suraj Angdi, at least you can turn on the mic and you can speak up. Suraj,
ಹಲೋ ಸರ್.
hello Suraj.
ಹಾಂ
ಹಾ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಗೊತ್ತದಲ್ಲ ಅಷ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ರಿ ನಡೀತದೆ.
ಸರ್, ಒ ಪಿ ಸಿ ಸಿಮೆಂಟ್.
ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಆರ್ಡಿನರಿ ಪೋರ್ಟ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಸಿಮೆಂಟ್.
ಹಾಂ ಸರ್, ವೈಟ್ ಸಿಮೆಂಟ್.
White cement. Very good. Still, we
ಕ್ವಿಕ್
have not
ಸಿಮೆಂಟ್.
discussed it. You have told that name. I'm happy with your answer. Right. Quick cement.
ಹಾಂ ಸರ್.
ಮತ್ತೆ
ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್.
thank you, Suraj. Yes, very good. Then, other than this, we have studied super sulfated cement, quick cement, rapid hardening cement, right? So, in the rapid hardening and extra rapid hardening, just one element will get replaced. Correct? Calcium carbonate. So, you need to just analyze. Yes, somebody was telling the answers. You can raise your hand so that I will come to know that who is going to answer. Yes, anybody? Sheikh Ahmad?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you know the different types of cements.
Blast furnace slag cement.
Very good. Blast furnace slag cement. So here we are going to use the slag as the additional material than the cement. Very
Yes,
good.
sir.
Then, other than this,
ಸರ್, ಪಿ ಪಿ ಸಿ.
Sulfate resisting cement.
sulfate resisting cement. Very good. When the sulfates like SO3, it reacts with the aluminate content, which is present in C3A. So which is going to cause sulfate attack. So just to resist that, we are going to use that sulfate resisting cement. Very good. Then
High alumina cement.
high alumina cement. Right.
Low
Very good.
heat cement.
Yes, Rajesh.
Low heat cement.
Very good. Low heat cement. Here the heat of hydration will be very less. Right. I'm happy with your response, Rajesh. Thank you.
ಸರ್,
Then
ಪಿ ಪಿ ಸಿ.
Portland Pozzolana cement. Yes. Very good, Suraj. Then Sheikh Ahmad. By the way, your profile pic is good. Money Heist.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Then other than this, which are the different types of cement? Whatever we have discussed till now, other than this. Anybody knows? Yes, we'll go ahead with the next type of the cements in this class. Okay. The slide is visible to everyone, right? The slide starts with low heat cement.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So in this class, we'll discuss the remaining types of the cements. In that, the first one, low heat cement. So the name only indicates low heat in the sense the heat of hydration process or whatever the chemical reaction is going to take place in the cement. So that will be too less in its percentage. So how you are going to achieve that low heat cement? How you are going to manufacture this low heat cement? So each and everything, the descriptions which is given in this code book, that is IS 12600 revision year, that is 1989. So here there was a need to produce a kind of cement which produces less heat or the same amount of heat whatever which is going to produce at the low rate during the hydration process. So as you all know that what is the hydration process? It is a chemical reactions between water as well as the cement. So that time heat is going to evaluate, right? So it will get elaborate when it reacts with the water. So that process is heat of hydration. So here they are going to explain about low heat hydration. I mean low heat cement. So it's nothing but what? Whatever the chemical reaction which is going to take place, it should take place in a lesser quantity. So how it is possible? So as we all know that the box compounds C3S, C2S, C3A as well as C4AF. So these are the four box compounds. So here the main reason for the chemical reaction is the compound C3S, that is tricalcium silicate, as well as C3A, that is tricalcium aluminate. So here the low heat evaluation that is achieved by the reducing these contents. I mean the C3S whatever we are going to consider around 40 to 50%. So that percentage we need to reduce. So then only we can achieve this low heat cement. And even the percentage of C3A, that is tricalcium aluminate, that one also we need to reduce so that we can get the low heat cement. And then the compounds evaluating the maximum heat of hydration, and then we need to increase the dicalcium silicate so that we can achieve the low heat of hydration. Yeah. And then a reduction of temperature will retard in the sense the reducing. So that reduces the chemical actions of hardening, and so further it is going to restrict the rate of evaluation of the heat. So initially when the chemical reactions will take place in a lesser quantity or which is going to reduce its capacity, obviously the evaluation of the heat also it is going to decrease. So when you are adding a large quantity of the water, what it happens, the heat of hydration will be more there, right? And then when, because you are getting the bulk amount of the water which is going to react with the chemicals of the cement, right? So that time of course the heat of hydration will be more. But when you have used the less quantity of this C3S as well as C3A, that chemical reactions will take place in a less percentage. So of course that heat of hydration or the evaluation of heat is going to be reduced. And here the rate of evaluation of heat that will therefore be less, and evaluation of heat will extend over a longer period. So here whatever the heat which is going to produce in the OPC, that is like the sudden heat. We have seen a particular graph, right? So in this particular graph, that curve will comes in this way and then again it goes. So this particular curve starting point indicates what? That heat of hydration will taking place at the maximum point. Means when the water reacts with the cement, the heat of hydration at the initial stage will be too high, and when the time releases or time passes, it is going to reduce. So here also the procedure will remain same. The rate of evaluation of the heat, it is gradually it is going to be decreased. Okay. And then therefore the future amount of heat the feature of low heat cement is a slow rate of gain of strength, but the ultimate strength of low heat cement is the same as that of the ordinary Portland cement. The thing is like, so here at the initial stage, the strength you can't achieve as you will achieve in the OPC. Yesterday we have studied one more type of the cement, that is quick setting time cement, quick setting cement, and one more rapid hardening cement. So in the rapid hardening cement, what you will achieve? Initial strength. So whatever the initial strength you are going to achieve there, it will be too high compared to the ordinary Portland cement. So I have given one example. Whatever the OPC which is getting a strength for 7 days, the same strength that rapid hardening cement which will get in 3 days. Similarly, this is exactly opposite of that. This low heat cement which is going to get the strength at the later days, but at the initial days which is not going to get any proper strength as it will get in the ordinary Portland cement. So might be this ordinary Portland cement, it may get in 7 days, but it may take around 14 days, right? So we can think in that way. Depends upon the properties of the low heat cement, we can decide at on which days it is going to get the strength of 7 days from the ordinary Portland cement, right? And here, as per the Indian standard specification, the heat of hydration of low heat Portland cement is discussed here. So for 7 days, whatever the heat it is going to evaluate in this low heat cement, it should not be more than 65 calories per gram. And similarly, in 28 days, the heat of hydration or heat of evaluation, it should not be more than 75 calories per gram. So you understand one concept, when the heat of hydration will completes, I mean that process will complete, concrete or cement which is going to gain the strength, right? So until and unless which is going to get the slow rate of strength. But once that heat of hydration or this evaluation of heat, that process is get completes, that time the strength of that concrete is going to be increased. Okay. And next one is Portland Pozzolana cement, that is PPC. The name starts with PPC. That's nothing but Portland Pozzolana cement. So might be you may ask a question, sir, the name, it looks similar, like ordinary Portland cement, that is OPC, and then PPC is like a Portland Pozzolana cement. You just understand one difference between this, the term Pozzolana. So in yesterday's class, I told what is mean by this Pozzolana, right? So this Pozzolana, adding of this Pozzolana to the ordinary Portland cement, that makes Portland Pozzolana cement. That's the main difference between this. So here, this Pozzolana materials means what? The byproducts which are get extracted, or these are like a waste products which will get extracted from various sources like nuclear power plant or from some industries. So after burning that fuels or coals, so which is going to give certain powder, so that powder only which will call as Pozzolana material. So that Pozzolana materials we are going to add to the OPC. Clear? You understand the concept? Later we can discuss these technical points. Just you understand the basic concept behind this Portland Pozzolana cement. So adding of this Pozzolana materials to the OPC with a required percentage. So that makes Portland Pozzolana cement. And here this Pozzolana means what? These are the byproducts or ash-like structures which will get obtained from various sources like nuclear power plant and then several industries. So with respect to the explanation part, this PPC which is manufactured by intergrading of OPC clinker with 10 to 25% of pozzolanic material. Okay, so here what they are telling, you all know that the manufacturing process of the cement, raw material, crushing, storage, and then adding of water to that, and then they are sending that one to the rotary kiln, and then they will provide 1300 degrees Celsius to 1500 degrees Celsius, right? So when they are going to get out that one in the form of clinker, right? So for that clinker, they are going to add this Pozzolana material. So how much they are going to add? 10 to 25% of the Pozzolana material. For example, 1000 grams of Pozzolana material is there. For this, they are going to add around 100 to 250 grams. Okay, so 100 to 250 grams, they are going to add this pozzolanic material. So as per the latest version or amendment or whatever the policy they have made, they are going to increase that one from 15 to 35. Okay, so they can use up to 10 to 35 percentage of, depends upon the quality of that pozzolana, right? So being why we are going to use this pozzolanic material in the cement, so what's the use, right? So one thing is it is easily available, since it is a byproduct, it's like a waste product, easily that pozzolanic material will be available from the industry. Only the thing is we should supply that one from industries or certain camps to the required location where that cement will get manufactured. And here the pozzolanic material is essentially a siliceous or aluminous material. So here you can see this pozzolanic material that contains mainly the chemicals siliceous as well as the aluminous material. So what you will study SiO2 as well as Al term Al2O3. So that chemicals which will be present in this pozzolanic material, I mean the byproducts from various sources, right? So material which while in itself possessing no cementitious material. So only these materials if you used as the cement, so it won't get the cementitious material. I mean the properties of the cementitious material. So which are the main properties of cementitious material? Binding property, the strength, and then the chemical reactions when it adds with the water, and after the heat of hydration, how it is going to gain the strength. So those all are the main properties of the cement. But when you have added water only to this pozzolanic material, when you have added water only to this pozzolanic material, it won't give the proper binding, there will not be any heat of hydration, and then you won't get the consistency within the cement particles. Consistency in the sense the plastic property. When you added water to the cement, how you will feel after mixing that cement, so that property you can't achieve by adding water to this pozzolana, right? So and then cementitious property, and which will finally divided from and in the presence of water, and that react with the calcium hydroxide. So here basically this particular pozzolanic material, whatever the byproduct will get evaluate from the CSH gel. So I explained you in the previous class regarding the flow chart. So when the chemicals which are present in the cement that reacts with the oxides, and at the end it forms with CSH gel, and along with that this calcium hydroxide will be there, right? So these pozzolanic materials which will react with this calcium hydroxide, right? And that liberated in the hydration process, basically this product which will get evaluate from the hydration process, right? After the hydration process, one thing it forms with the CSH gel, and then one more byproduct it forms as calcium hydroxide. So these pozzolanic materials, it will react with this calcium hydroxide, and then it forms cementitious properties. So when it reacts with calcium hydroxide, it is going to give the consistency property, which is going to give the hydration process, and which will give the proper compressive strength. So they are going to replace some cementitious material or cement materials by this pozzolanic material. So they will come to know the exact property what that OPC is going to achieve. The same thing it will get expected from this pozzolanic material. And the cost of this OPC and PPC, when you compare, that OPC cost will be higher than the PPC. Okay, and here the pozzolanic materials generally used for manufacture of PPC, which are calcined clay or fly ash, right? So basically this fly ash which will get extract from nuclear power plant. So you can see in the Raichur, you have heard, I think. Anybody from Raichur place? Anybody is present here in this class? Nobody? Yes, no problem. Okay, so there we'll get that fly ash easily because we are having their nuclear power plant, I mean the Kaiga power plant. So from that, after burning the coal and all, we'll get the fly ash. Okay, so fly ash, it is like basically a waste material that is generated in the thermal power plant. Okay, it's not nuclear power plant, it's thermal power plant. What it will, we can see in the Kaiga or from the Raichur. And when it is powdered coal is used as a fuel. So when it is burned, I mean this powdered coal, this particular term, when it is burnt, it forms this fly ash. So after burning of this powdered coal, it forms as the product, or it forms as the powder form. That waste powder form only we can call it as fly ash. Yeah, and here the fly ash or pozzolana material that converts useless mass of calcium hydroxide into useful cementitious mass. So however, we have seen along with the CSH gel, this calcium hydroxide also, I mean CaOH twice, that also it will be there. So in the OPC, we have considered that one as a waste material and nowhere it is going to useful. But here, when we are going to add this pozzolanic materials like fly ash and all, so when this fly ash that reacts with this calcium hydroxide and then it forms useful cementitious mass, so which is going to give certain cementitious mass. So that's the reason to buy products like calcium hydroxide or these waste products like calcium hydroxide as well as fly ash. So combiningly these two will give some contribution to the cement as a cementitious mass. Okay, so here this calcium hydroxide, that is CaOH twice, the reactions they have given, plus pozzolana. You can consider you can consider fly ash or others, just like calcine clay, I mean, which is purely rich in silica content. And then when it reacts with the water, it is going to give CSH gel. So CSH gel is nothing but the cementitious material property it is. Clear? So this is how you are going to use two waste product into the some useful product. Okay, and then here the Portland pozzolana cement that produces less heat of hydration and that offers greater resistance to attack the aggressive waters. So here what they are telling, when you have used the Portland pozzolana cement and that produces less heat of hydration because the content like C3S as well as C2S or C3A, they are in less percentage, specifically in this fly ash or this pozzolanic material. So when these contents are less, of course the heat of hydration will be reduced, correct? So the thing is like, when we have used the Portland pozzolana cement, even we can reduce the heat of hydration process, and then even it offers the greater resistance to attack the aggressive waters. If the quantity is more, or the concrete will become more workability when you have used this Portland pozzolana cement. It's not with a much sticky, or it won't be with a more workable property. But when you have used the Portland pozzolana cement, which is going to give the more workable property. More workable property in the sense, cement will be easily we can mix, easily we can place, and then easily we can compact or finish the work. So there will not be much energy wasting things just to mix those cementitious material. Okay, so that's the reason, to increase the workability also we can use this Portland pozzolana cement. And even it is going to reduces the leaching of calcium hydroxide when it is used in hydraulic structures. So leaching is nothing but the extraction process. So that is going to help in the extractions of the calcium hydroxide, that is CaOH twice. So when used in the hydraulic structures, suppose in the constructions like dam and all, you require calcium hydroxide content more, because which is going to extract the water content, and then it is going to reduces the heat of hydration process. So that time when you have used this Portland pozzolana cement in the constructions like hydraulic structures and all, which is going to reduces that calcium hydroxide content in the cement. Then what's the main use of this PPC, Portland pozzolana cement, over the ordinary Portland cement? So in PPC you can see the costly clinker is replaced by the cheaper pozzolanic material, hence it is economical. So after the rotary kiln, whatever you will get the cement, so that one we can call it as clinker, right? And then for this clinker, we are going to add some additives like gypsum, right? So that gypsum, okay, we are going to add the gypsum, and along with this, they are going to add this pozzolanic material. Clear? So they are going to add this pozzolanic material, and then it forms PPC. So here, when you are going to use this pozzolanic material, it is purely a waste product. So of course, the volume of this PPC will be more just because of adding this pozzolanic material. And then the cost of this PPC will be lesser because we have used the waste materials after the extractions from the rotary kiln. Okay, that volume of this will be higher. For example, here you will get 1000 and gypsum will be too negligible. You can consider as nil, or you can consider some amount around 50 grams. Okay, you can consider 50 grams. And then here PPC we have said up to 35% we can consider. So totally it will be how much? 1400. So when we are getting 1050 grams of cement after mixing with clinker as well as the gypsum, at the end, instead of that we are getting 1400. So here we can get 350 kg of cement in larger quantity. Clear? So that's the reason how we are going to achieve this one as economical. Okay, and here the soluble calcium hydroxide, which is converted into the soluble cementitious product, that is resulting in improvement of permeability. So here it's nothing but what, in the OPC, that calcium hydroxide will be a waste product since it is going to use in the hydraulic structure so that it is going to absorb the water. But here that waste product only which is going to give the cementitious material, that is with the CSH gel. Okay, this calcium hydroxide reacts with the pozzolanic material and even it gives CSH gel. So again it's like we are converting from waste product to the useful product, and that is going to improve with the permeability. I mean, whatever the water will get percolate into a concrete structures, so that process we can call it as permeability. Okay, and then here PPC, that consumes the calcium hydroxide and does not produce the calcium hydroxide as much as that of OPC. So here this PPC, I mean the Portland pozzolana cement, which is going to consider this calcium hydroxide, but at the end again it does not give the calcium hydroxide only. So entire that calcium hydroxide, it reacts with the pozzolanic material and then it gives the cementitious material. So after that, nowhere you will get this calcium hydroxide in the cement, I mean in the PPC, right? So that's also an advantageous part. And here it generates, yes, anybody having doubt? Something is there, you can convey it. Okay. This slide is visible, right? Advantages of PPC.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So here it generates reduced heat of hydration, and that too at a low rate. So it's nothing but what? That C3S content as well as C3E content are less in cement, I mean in this PPC. Of course, the heat of hydration will be less. And here PPC, that will be being finer than the OPC, and also due to the pozzolanic actions, it improves the pore size distribution and also reduces the micro cracks at the transition zone. So here you can see the more advantageous part of this PPC. It's like the grain size, I mean the particle size of this PPC, it will be still more lesser than the OPC. So because of that reason, whatever the cracks will get appears in the cement paste when it reacts with the aggregates. So I said about the transition zone. It's like what? When cement paste reacts with the aggregate and it forms a small layer on top of that aggregate, right? So when the particle size is less in PPC, whatever the cracks it will get appears in OPC, that one it can be reduced by using this PPC. Okay, so PPC is Portland pozzolana cement, OPC is ordinary Portland cement. You need to remember this. And the main difference between this OPC and PPC, OPC is just like a normal cement, PPC is like we are going to add some pozzolanic material to this. Okay, and here the PPC gives more volume of mortar than OPC. Yes, So in PPC only we'll get 1000 and 50,050. But here when we are going to add pozzolanic material, which is going to give the larger quantity than this. So that volume of mortar will be higher. And then the long-term strength of PPC beyond a couple of months is higher than the OPC if enough moisture is available for continued the pozzolanic action. So for this pozzolanic action, you require a lot of water. So after the constructions, when you have provided a lot of water for this cement, so whatever the strength that OPC is going to achieve, the more than that strength this PPC will get achieved, right? So you require a proper moisture or water content to that, so that which will give more strength than the OPC. So where the water scarcity and all will be there, that time this PPC won't get workable because it requires huge amount of water, so that it gives larger strength than the OPC. The same thing is like it requires lot of water to complete the hydration process and completes the pozzolanic action. And next one is air entraining cement. This is a next type of cement. You can see the diagram, air entraining cement, in the sense this is a cement paste, and in between that these are the microscopic structures what it's enlarged, and we are showing you. So here in between the cement paste you can see the gaps or holes, right? So that one it will get formed by using this air entraining powder or additives. Okay, we'll now discuss with what is air entraining cement. So this cement is made by mixing small amount of air entraining agent. Okay, small amount in the sense only 1%. You can consider only 1% of the cement. 1000 grams of clinker is going to be formed. We need to use only 1 gram of air entraining agent. Okay, so just to prepare this air entraining cement. Okay, so the cement is made by mixing a small amount of an air entraining agent with ordinary Portland cement clinker at the time of grinding. So after the rotary kiln, whatever you will mix with the gypsum. So along with that, you need to add around 1% of air entraining agent to that mixer, and you need to grind that. So then it forms with air entraining cement. This is also a type of ordinary Portland cement. Only the thing is they are going to use some agents like air entraining agents, and then of about quantity 1% by the weight of the cement. So what this air entraining agents will do? So here whatever the holes or gaps between the cement you can see, so this one it is formed with this air entraining agent. Okay, we'll now discuss why we require those holes. So these agents in powder or in liquid forms are added to the extent of 0.025 to 0.1% by the weight of the cement. As I said, 1% you can consider as the maximum one. So for 1000 grams, you can use only 1 gram of cement at the time of mixing in the clinker, right? So there are other additives including animal and vegetable fats and oil and their acids that could be also used as the air entraining agents in this cement. So wetting agents like aluminum powder, hydrogen peroxide, that one also it can be used. When you won't get those types of the chemicals, you can go with certain animal and vegetable fats, else you can go with some of the chemicals like aluminum powder as well as the hydrogen peroxide. So here this air entraining cement that will produce at the time of mixing, though the tiny air bubbles in the body of the concrete, which will modify the properties of the plastic concrete with respect to workability, segregation, and then bleeding. So these are the properties of fresh concrete. Just you do remember workability, segregation, as well as bleeding. This is the most asked question in module 2, I think. Okay, in module 2, this one it will come. The properties of fresh concrete. In that first one, workability, segregation, and then bleeding. So these are the 3 major properties of fresh concrete, right? So here by adding this air entraining cement, which is going to by adding air entraining agent, so which is going to increase the properties of the fresh concrete, even workability, which is going to increase, that segregation, it is going to reduce, and even the bleeding also, it will be moderate. Okay. Segregation is nothing but what? When the ingredients will get separate from the mixture. So you will be adding coarse aggregate, fine aggregate, cement, and then water, right? So after the mixing, the aggregate will get separate. I mean, aggregate, it won't get mixed with the other ingredients. So that one you can call it as segregation. And then bleeding in the sense when you have added large quantity of the water. So after the compaction and all, the water, it will get appear on the top surface of the concrete. So that one we can call it as bleeding. So when you have added this air entraining cements, you can improve the properties of the fresh concrete. And even it will modify the properties of hardened concrete with respect of its resistance to thrust action. So even while studying of hardened concrete, you will come to know which are the different properties of the hardened concrete, and then with respect to its resistance to thrust action. So because of thrust actions, like in the colder country regions and all, the concrete properties will get changes after it's getting hardened. So that time we need to monitor properly with respect to these thrust actions. So by when adding with these air entering agents or air entering cements in the thrust conditions, we can improve the properties of hardened concrete. And then next one is colored cement. So here in colored cement, for manufacturing of various colored cements, either white cement or gray Portland cement, which is used as a base. So basically, when you want to prepare the colored cements, you require certain base. So that base which is used as gray Portland cement, okay, sorry, white cement or gray, we require OPC as the base cement. For this OPC, we are going to add the required color. Which one we require, that color we can add to this OPC clinkers. So then as per the color pigments, which is going to turn to the required color. So the use of white cement as a base is costly. So directly if you want to use white cement as the base, it will be much costly, because first we need to bring that one to the white cement. So initially it will be OPC. Then by adding white pigments, it will convert to white cement, right? And if we want to use white cement for the next colored cement, like a gray cement, red cement, right? So many different types of cements will be there, depends upon the adding of the pigments, that that color will get changes. So getting this white cement only as the base part will be more difficult. So they are going to consider OPC as only the base cement. So for this, they are going to add the different pigments as per the required color. Okay. So with the use of gray cement, only red or brown cement can be produced. So when you have used a gray cement, basically this OPC will be with the gray color. So that one which is going to give red or brown. So only these two colors you can get by using gray color cement, that is OPC cement as the base. And here the color cements that consist of Portland cement with 5 to 10% of pigments. So pigments are nothing but these are the color molecules. Those color molecules will be adding with the Portland cement, that too with the 5 to 10%. Then it's converted to the required color. Okay. And here the next point, the pigment that cannot be satisfactorily distributed throughout the cement by mixing. For that reason, it is usual to grind the cement and the pigment together. So directly by hand mixture, if you place, like as you will place salt on the food, it's not possible to mix thoroughly like that. So what they are going to do, just they are going to place those pigments in the mixture itself, where that clinker is going to be formed. So for that mixture only, they will be adding these pigment compounds, and then it forms a required color cement. Okay. And the properties required of a pigment to be used for the color cement, they are like durability of color under the exposure. So if you are adding the pigments to the OPC, so how that pigment it should be? First, it should be durability such that that color, it should not be decreased under the exposure conditions. or even by continuous exposure to the sunlight, or different weathering actions, alternative rain or sunlight, that may causes some changes in the cement layers. So when you have added that color, it should not get down, such that we need to use such pigments in the colored cement. A fine state of division, a chemical composition such that the pigment is neither affected by the cement nor detrimental to it. So once you add those pigments to the cement, it should not affect to the structure. So such type of pigments we need to choose, and then we need to fix. Because once it reacts with the water, right, after the construction, once it reacts with the rainwater, so might be which may turn into the different colors. And when it exposed to the first action, again that property will get changes. And when it exposed to the direct sunlight, so again that property will get changes. So that property, it should not get changes. So like that we need to use that pigment. Okay. And then in some cases, might be those pigments, it may get reacts with that soluble salts. So basically the soluble salts, this word you have heard, where in the BMC subject, building material construction, there it is a property of brick, right? So that brick, it forms, when it reacts with the water, it forms a white precipitation on top of that surface, correct? So that white precipitation formation, when it reacts with these colors, it should not affect to that structures, and it should not be detrimental. So detrimental in the sense, changes in its shape, and even the cracks may get formed on the structures. So because of this reason, by adding this color pigments, it should not damage us to the structure. Next, the process of manufacture of the white Portland cement is nearly same as the OPC. All the raw materials are same, procedure is same. Only the thing is, the raw materials, particularly the kind of limestone which is required for the manufacturing of white cement, which is only available around Jodhpur as well as the Rajasthan. So the raw materials purely which is required to manufacture this colored cement. So that raw materials which will be only available in Rajasthan, that too in Jodhpur. Okay. So here two famous brands are there to manufacture this white cement. They are Birla White as well as the JK White, because they are having certain plants over the Rajasthan or Jodhpur, so that easily they will get the purest form of raw materials, and then they can prepare this colored cement or white cement. So here in the colored cement, the raw materials used are very high purity of limestone. Okay. So whatever the limestone as the raw material you are going to use, it should be in a purer form. So purer form in the sense, it should contain 96% of calcium carbonate. So this calcium carbonate, when reacts with the heat, it is going to form calcium oxide, and then the carbon dioxide will get liberated, right? This calcium CaCO3, when it reacts, when the heat provides to this, it forms calcium oxide, which is purely a lime. So this is limestone. Okay. So when we heat this limestone, it forms calcium oxide, that is lime, and then along with this, it is going to liberate carbon dioxide. So togetherly, these two forms calcium carbonate. Okay. So here it should contain around 96% of calcium carbonate and less than 0.07% of iron oxide. So when the larger content of the iron oxide, you cannot maintain this white cement. Clear? So this percentage of iron oxide should be less. And then the other materials are like china clay, that with iron content about 0.7 to 0.8, that Fe content, what we have studied, that Fe content, it should be lesser compared to the OPC. So then only we can achieve this white cement. And then silica sand, so which is purely rich in Si, silica content. And then fluorspar as a flux, this is a liquid material just to increase the workability of the concrete. Okay, this one, when you have added in the manufacture of the white cement, it increases the workability part. And then the fuel used are RFO or gas. So RFO is nothing but the refined furnace oil. Just to provide the certain energy, they can use this refined furnace oil or certain gases. And here the last point, that is seashells, which are and coral, they can be also used as the raw materials. So these seashells already you have seen kapechippu, what we can call, right? So those seashells, they are purely rich in calcium carbonate, CaCO3. So that one also they can use as a raw material in this white cement. They need to pick the white seashells so that whatever the color pigments you are going to add, even they can be reduced over there. Okay, so seashells and even the coral also can be used as the raw materials, especially in the manufacturing of white cement. And here the properties of white cement, which is nearly as same as OPC, only the thing is the color pigment will get changes. That is, generally the white cement is the ground finer than the gray cement. I mean the size of or the surface area of this colored cement, which will be lesser than the OPC. Okay, and then this is hydrophobic cement. That is a next type of cement that is obtained by grinding the ordinary Portland clinker with water repellent film forming substances such as oleic acid and then stearic acid. Wait for a while. Need 1 minute break. Sorry. So here this hydrophobic cement, in the sense for OPC we are going to add some other substances. So here you can check all the different types of the cement. Here most of the cement includes this OPC only. For that they are going to add some more other materials and then they form a special type of cement. That's the difference between these all things. So for this OPC, they are going to add some water repellent film forming substances such as oleic acid first and even the stearic acid. So when this OPC reacts with oleic acid as well as the stearic acid, it forms hydrophobic cement. So why we require this oleic acid and stearic acid in the cement, and why it is going to call the water repellent film forming substances? So that's nothing but the water repellent film formed around the each grain of the cement that reduces the heat of deterioration of the cement during the long storage or transport or under the unfavorable conditions. So here what it is going to do, you can just check with this microscopic structures, just you can think these are the cement particles, right? So these cement particles, when you have used this hydrophobic cement, which is going to create an extra layer on this, right? So they are going to form a thin like film like structures above these cement particles, so that whatever which will come and distort for this, which is going to reduce that effects, might be which is from environmental aspects, might be which is because of the long storage, or might be because of some environmental issues, right? Unfavorable conditions, in the sense you cannot expect the environmental issues on which time. Okay, so depends upon that, this hydrophobic cements will get this. And then the film is broken out when the aggregates are mixed together at the mixer that is exposing the cement particles for normal hydration. And here the film forming water repellent material that will entertain certain amount of air in the body of the concrete, which incidentally will improve the workability of the concrete. So here whatever the extra layer, what you can call for the cement particles, so this extra layer, it's like added with water repellent structures. So when it is the water repellent structures, that movement of the particles will be easier, right? So when the movement of the particle will be easier, of course that concrete workability will be getting increases, means easily we can mix and easily we can complete the concrete work, right? So this type of cement which is used where high rainfall is there and high humidity of the structure moisture is present at all the seasons, and then the normal OPC cannot be stored for longer time. So here hydrophobic cement in the sense where the moisture conditions are there, like in Himachal Pradesh and all. So always, even in summer season, you can feel the colder parts there, right? So that time you cannot store the normal cement like OPC and all. So that time we can use the hydrophobic cement during that type of weathering conditions. And then next type of cement, that is masonry cement. So in masonry cement, the ordinary cement mortar, though the good when compared to the lime mortar, that is with respect to strength and then the setting properties. So you have seen in the previous part, brick masonry, the types of bonds, right? Stone masonry in the building material construction subject in the previous semester. You have studied those, right? So that means what? Arranging of the building units one above the other, and in between that, they are going to place the mortar. Correct. So that mortar, whatever we are going to use in the cement, we can call it as masonry cement. Okay. So here, that masonry cement, it should be readily available nowadays. During several research and the technologies used, they are going to prepare that cement sand proportion. Usually we'll be taking 1 is to 3, right? So this 1 is to 3, they are going to mix thoroughly in the manufacturing site itself. Just you will bring this masonry cement and then you will add the water and it forms mortar. Only that's the reason. So this masonry cements, it even included with proper sand, and then adding with the water, it forms masonry cement. Okay, so here masonry cement, which is a type of cement which is particularly made with such combination of materials, which when used for the making mortar, especially that incorporates all the good properties of lime mortar. So you have studied the different types of mortars. So in this, when you have added lime to the cement, it forms with a lime mortar, and when in some cases you have added cement, it forms with cement mortar. So depends upon the applications, we can use the raw materials here. So the kind of cement is mostly used, as the name indicates, for masonry construction. So only this type of cements will be used in construction of the masonry work. Either it is a stone masonry or even brick masonry. And then it contains certain amount of air entraining agent and mineral admixtures just to improve the plasticity and water retentivity. So here they are going to add certain extra materials like air entraining agent. So this one, even it is used in air entraining cement, right? The same agent, even it can be used in this masonry cement, and along with that they can add mineral admixtures. So mineral admixtures, like they are in the powder form. That entire chapter is there. We will be studying in thorough with respect to this mineral admixtures. The main reason to add this air entering agent as well as mineral admixture, that is to improve the plasticity as well as water retentivity. Okay, I mean the whatever the water content within the structures will be there, that one it can be maintained by these structural, sorry, these minerals, either air entering agent or mineral admixtures. Then I think this is special grade cement, oil well cement, residentials. Still many are there. Okay. We'll end up today, or we'll continue with two more types of cements. My voice is audible to everyone, right? Yes?
Sir, and
Yes, Rushti, please.
sir, and
Okay, fine. Okay, right. So we'll end it today. I know it is very difficult to take the, I mean, class at evening session, and even it is very difficult to sit for you people also. But the situation we need to adjust and understand. Else we'll wind up today. Okay. So if you are having any doubts, just you put a message in the chat box. Else raise your hand and you can ask directly to the question. So even that questions, it will get clear to your friends also if it is there. So don't be hesitant to ask the questions. You are free to ask the doubts and clarify among yourselves. Please place your
Sir, in Pozzolana, nuclear wastes are used or thermal wastes, sir?
thermal waste it is.
Sir,
So even
nuclear wastes are harmful, right?
nuclear waste is not a harmful product, but here that waste, whatever it is going to generate, it is by burning certain amount of fuel, not by the nuclear product. What it will get generate, it's not the byproduct of that. So whatever the fuel you are going to use, so that is going to come in the form of carbon dioxide, right? And in some cases, it will comes in the form of powder. So that powder only we are going to consider as a waste product as a pozzolana material. So in the what you said in Raichur, that thermal power plant. So in that thermal power plant, they are going to use coal as a fuel material. So they are going to burn that coal, and after the burning process, which will comes in the form of powder form. So that powder only we can call it as fly ash. Clear?
Yes, sir.
And anything else? The things are understanding, right?
Yes, sir.
You know,
Yes, sir.
the first module, which is bit lengthier compared to all other, so it takes a maximum time to complete. So we are not going to rush as to complete the syllabus and all. We'll go slow so that the things will get clear to you people. Okay. So however, the second module and third module and the remaining syllabus we can complete at the earlier time, but first you need to understand the basic concept about this subject. So we are going bit slow and we are explaining the things pin to pin. So still, if you are not understanding anything, please let us know so that still more will elaborate and will explain. Yes, if something is there, then you can ask the questions. Else, place your name and USN in the chat box. Then you can disconnect the call. Yuvraj Patil and Pragati Gaudar. Please. Yuvraj, are you there?